There's the first flying lap for Eddie G, hitting 1:36.195. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
Mate, sometimes I reckon the pit wall looks like they're controlling a spaceship with all those dials and knobs.
You're not wrong. Each of those adjustments, from brake bias to differential settings, has a profound effect on car behavior. It's like tuning a guitar, but instead of strings, you're tweaking mechanical symphonies to get the car singing just right on the track.
DMAX's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:40.280. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
Chris Ilduke has a best lap time of 1:38.024. Eddie G posted 1:36.710 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 53 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Alright, Chris Ilduke has put down a 1:38.840. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup JUR.
For sure, Rob. It's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
Nart and Vexler posted a 1:34.271 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Duke crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:38.840. They're getting to grips with Dijon-Prenois 1979, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
There are just over 50 minutes left in this practice session. In these sessions, they're not just pushing the car's limits, but their own too. Testing their mettle, seeing how far they can go before the big dance.
Exactly. It's a mental game as much as a physical one. Balancing aggression with precision, daring with data. It's an art and a science.
There's the first flying lap for Eddie G, hitting 1:37.323. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
Chris Duke's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:37.904. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
D-Max posted 3:45.207 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Nathan Vexler's first flyer is a solid start, clocking in at 1:34.545. They're getting a feel for the track, but there's room to shave off a few more seconds.
Absolutely, Rob. It's all about finding those little tweaks, adjusting the line here, braking a tad later there. Every lap is a learning curve.
With just 46 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. You know, mate, some folks wonder why these drivers spend so much time in practice. But it's just like prepping a barbie, you gotta get it right before the big show.
Exactly. Rob, practice makes perfect, and in racing, perfect can be the difference between pole position and the back of the grid.
So, for those tuning in and wondering what's the go with these practice sessions, well, it ain't just about flexing their engines. It's about synergy, mate. Getting the driver, the car, and the track to sing in harmony.
Couldn't have put it better. We liken it to rehearsing a dance. Every step, every turn must be practiced until it's second nature on the big stage.
D-Max has a best lap time of 1:49.521. Alright, Nathan Vexler has put down a 1:35.676. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup JUR.
For sure, Rob, it's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
Chris Ilduke has a best lap time of 1:37.843. Puppy Dog from Hell's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:46.549. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
There's the first flying lap for Nathan Vexler, hitting 1:34.558. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
Eddie G posted a 1:45.264 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Nathan Vexler posted 1:33.871 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? You ever think about what's ticking inside a driver's noggin during these laps?
All the time. It's a mix of analyzing, strategizing, and adapting. Every corner, every straight is a puzzle, and they're trying to solve it at full speed.
Mr. Bang is rolling out for the first sniff of the track. It's all about feeling the car, the tarmac, and getting the mind in the zone.
Absolutely, Rob. The out lap is like the opening chapter of a book. It sets the tone for the whole story. They'll be checking how the car's responding, getting a real feel for the conditions today at Dijon-Prenois 1979.
D-Max has a best lap time of 1:49.521. There goes Mr. Bang on their first dance with Dijon-Prenois 1979. Every bend, every straight is a chance to learn, to adapt.
Yep, and it's about syncing with the car too, making sure everything's in harmony. It's like tuning an instrument before a big concert.
Eddie G's first flyer is a solid start, clocking in at 1:36.059. They're getting a feel for the track, but there's room to shave off a few more seconds.
Absolutely, Rob. It's all about finding those little tweaks, adjusting the line here, braking a tad later there. Every lap is a learning curve.
With just 37 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There's Mr. Bang, gently nudging the beast as they head out. The out lap is where you whisper to the car, "Let's dance," before the real party starts.
You got that right. It's a gentle waltz before the full-on rock concert of the race. They're testing the waters, getting a feel for every bend and straight of Dijon-Prenois 1979.
Alright, Nathan Vexler has put down a 1:34.758. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup JUR.
For sure, Rob. It's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
Eddie G has a best lap time of 1:35.287. These practices, mate, they're like a kangaroo finding its best hop. Once you've got it, you're unstoppable.
Couldn't have put it better. Finding the perfect launch is all about repetition and adjustments.
And there's Sunoiler, easing out onto Dijon-Prenois 1979. It's like the first step on a long hike, finding your footing before you hit full stride.
Right, and every racer knows this outlap is precious. It's their first handshake with the track today, feeling out its mood and temperament.
Puppy Dog from Hell's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 1:53.031. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
Watch as Sunoiler takes it nice and easy on this outlap. It's not just about warming up the tires, it's about getting into that mental pit lane, tuning into the race mindset.
For sure, Rob, they're calibrating everything, the brakes, the steering, the throttle response. It's a crucial part of laying down the groundwork for a successful practice session.
Puppy Dog from Hell posted 1:47.018 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mr. Bang has a best lap time of 1:37.535. There's the first flying lap for Nathan Vexler, hitting 1:35.795. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
Now, here's a term some might not be familiar with: roll bar stiffness. Sounds technical, doesn't it?
It does, but in essence, it's about how the car reacts to lateral forces, especially during cornering. Adjusting the roll bar can change how the car behaves mid-corner. A softer setting can be more forgiving, but a stiffer one might give the driver a quicker response, albeit with less margin for error.
Ever heard the pit crew chat about wheel camber? Sounds like a dance move, but trust me, it's all car talk.
Haha, yeah, camber is the angle of the wheel relative to the road. A bit of negative camber, where the top of the tire leans inwards, can give more grip in the corners. But too much and you're looking at premature wear on the inside of the tire. It's a balancing act, and each track requires its own setting.
Rob posted a 1:33.057 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 29 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris Duke's first flyer is a solid start, clocking in at 1:37.538. They're getting a feel for the track, but there's room to shave off a few more seconds.
Absolutely, Rob. It's all about finding those little tweaks, adjusting the line here, braking a tad later there. Every lap is a learning curve.
Martin Vexler crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:33.951. They're getting to grips with Dijon-Prenois 1979, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
Look at Megasaurus 55 taking it nice and easy, a smart move. Like a chess player contemplating the opening move, they're planning several steps ahead.
Spot on. They're mentally mapping each corner, each straight. It's not just about the car, it's about strategy and foresight.
Alright, Richard Rossier has put down a 1:56.090. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup JUR.
For sure, Rob, it's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
Rob Keane has a best lap time of 1:33.057. Hey Hal, you reckon these drivers ever get tired of going round and round during practice?
Well, Rob, repetition is the key. Every lap gives you data, insights, and an edge over the competition.
Nart and Vexler posted 1:34.135 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mr. Bang posted a 2:16.047 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 23 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Colin Burton has a best lap time of 1:37.538. Richard Rossier crosses the line with their first flyer, clocking a 1:39.245. They're getting to grips with Dijon-Prenois 1979, feeling out its quirks and corners.
It's like the first round of a chess match, Rob. They're making their opening moves, setting up for the later, faster laps where they'll really show their hand.
Mr. Bang's first flyer is a solid start, clocking in at 2:16.214. They're getting a feel for the track, but there's room to shave off a few more seconds.
Absolutely, Rob. It's all about finding those little tweaks, adjusting the line here, braking a tad later there. Every lap is a learning curve.
There's the first flying lap for Colin Burton, hitting 1:50.413. It's a start, but they'll be looking to iron out those kinks as they get more laps under their belt.
Right on, Rob. It's early in the session, so there's plenty of time to experiment and find those extra tenths of a second.
These practices aren't just a walkabout in the park. It's here that races are often won or lost.
Absolutely. Back home in North Carolina, we emphasize the setup. A few tweaks during practice can lead to major gains on race day.
You know, mate, watching these practice sessions, you'd think the driver just jumps in and goes. But there's a heck of a lot more to it, starting with that aero package, the balance between drag and downforce.
Oh, for sure, you tweak the front wing just a smidge, and you could have a totally different beast on your hands. Depending on the track, they might want more downforce for those tight corners or reduce it for the long straights to maximize speed.
Chris Ilduke's first serious lap is in the books with a time of 3:24.858. Good effort, but I'm expecting them to really push the envelope in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's about building that momentum, Rob. Fine-tuning their approach with each turn, each lap, getting more out of the car and themselves.
Megasaurus 55 is out there, taking it slow and steady on the outlap. This lap is like the calm before the storm, a moment of zen before pushing the limits.
That's right, it's about understanding the track's personality today a Euro. Each day, each lap can tell a different story, especially at a track like Dijon-Prenois 1979.
Richard Rossier has a best lap time of 1:39.245. With just 17 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Alright, Mr. Bang has put down a 1:40.817. It's a decent benchmark, but I reckon there's more juice to squeeze out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup JUR.
For sure, Rob, it's early days. They're just starting to sync up with the track. We'll likely see those times tumble as they dial in.
Nathan Vexler has a best lap time of 1:33.871. Here we go, folks. The atmosphere is electric as the drivers prepare to unleash their machines on the track at Dijon-Prenois 1979 for the qualifying session. Nathan Vexler is on their outlap.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused while also pushing the limits.
What a performance from Rob. They currently occupy third on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favourable starting spot?
I completely agree, Rob. Keane has positioned themselves impressively in third. However, it's crucial for them to keep pushing to potentially improve their starting position.
There goes Chris Ilduke, currently in position 6. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result. Currently in 7th, Lars has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Keen has completed their outlap. Rob has completed their outlap. Incredible drive by Eddie G so far, earning him 3rd on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Eddie G has completed their outlap. A solid performance from Chris Ilduke as they currently hold position 5. However, Chris Ilduke has completed their outlap. Megasaurus 55 has positioned themselves well in 6th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start. A mesmerizing display from Rob in this qualifying session. They have left everyone in awe with their speed and precision. Currently leading the pack, they are setting the standard and sending a clear message to their competitors. Rob has just completed that lap in 1:33.120. Their best lap so far is 1:33.120. Putting them in P1, will they be able to hold on to that spot? Impressive work from Lars, who has claimed 5th on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position.
Absolutely, Rob. Lars has shown great potential to secure 5th.
Lars has just completed a lap in 1:35.522. Let's see if they can improve on the time further. Eddie G has put in a great effort and currently holds 2nd. With the session winding down, can they unleash their full potential and improve their starting position?
Great analysis, Rob. Eddie G has shown excellent pace to secure 2nd. Now, the focus shifts to whether they can use their track position to their advantage in the race.
A solid qualifying performance by Mr. Bang, positioning them in 7th at the moment. The question now is whether they can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners. An outstanding display from Rob, always keen in this qualification session. They have been on fire, putting in blistering lap times and currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard. It's a statement performance, showcasing their speed and determination.
I share your thoughts, Rob. Keen is currently untouchable with their outstanding performance. They have raised the bar, and their competitors have a tough challenge ahead to catch up.
What a performance from Colin Burton. They currently occupy 10th on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favourable starting spot?
Couldn't agree more, Rob. Colin Burton has positioned themselves impressively in 10th. Now, they need to build on this foundation and strive for an even better race result.
In thinking, Colin Burton could benefit from tweaking their tyre strategy. That last lap at 1:36.938 isn't cutting it for 8th. A switch to a softer compound might give them the edge they need.
Spot on, Rob. A softer tire could provide that extra grip, but they'll have to manage tire wear carefully. It's a risky play, but it might just pay off.
A strong showing from Chris Ilduke as they currently sit in 8th. With the session drawing to a close, they'll need to dig deep and find that extra burst of speed to improve. Chris Ilduke has completed their first flying lap in 1:35.646. Colin Burton has secured a respectable 9th in the qualifying session. Can they capitalise on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance? And there goes maybe today's Satan, currently in position 8. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result.
You're absolutely right, Rob. Maybe today's Satan's current position of 8th reflects their strong qualifying performance. Now, they'll need to strategize and capitalize on this starting position.
It's been a challenging session for Megasaurus 55. They're currently languishing in 14th position, which is not where they had envisioned themselves. But in motorsport, anything can happen, and with their skill and determination, they might still turn things around. Incredible drive by maybe today's Satan so far, earning him 9th on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Will they be able to find that extra edge to move up?
Spot on analysis, Rob. Maybe today's Satan has positioned themselves well in
Maybe today's Satan has just completed the lap in 1:36.483. Their best lap so far is 1:36.483. Putting them in P9. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Megasaurus 55 has completed their outlap. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Maybe today Satan's got their work cut out for them in 7th. Perhaps adjusting the gear ratios for better acceleration could help knock off a few tenths.
You're on the money, Rob. On a track with this many tight turns, quicker acceleration out of the corners could be key to a faster lap time.
Richard Rossier has positioned themselves well in 9th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start.
I completely agree, Rob. Richard Rossier has positioned themselves impressively in 9th. However, it's crucial for them to keep pushing to potentially improve their starting position.
A challenging session for Megasaurus 55 so far. They're currently in 14th position, which is not where they wanted to be. But in motorsport, we've seen remarkable comebacks, and they'll be hoping to turn their fortunes around and secure a better result. A solid performance from Sunoiler as they currently hold position 5. However, with the session coming to a close, they'll need to find that extra bit of speed if they want to move up the grid. Currently in 7th, maybe today Satan has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Impressive work from Nathan Vexler, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. Nathan Vexler has done a fantastic job to claim 2nd. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
Nathan Vexler will be happy having put themselves into 2nd in this qualifying session. A solid qualifying performance by maybe today Satan, positioning them in 7th at the moment. The question now is whether they can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners. It's been a struggle for Mr. Bang in qualifying. As of now, they find themselves in 12th position, which is well below their expectations. However, motorsport is unpredictable, and there's still an opportunity for them to shine and move up the grid.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. Mr. Bang is facing a tough challenge, but they are known for their fighting spirit. This qualifying session is a test of their character, and I believe they have what it takes to overcome this setback.
Mr. Bang's latest lap at 1:38.231 isn't cutting the mustard. They're sitting in 12th, which means there's a fair bit of ground to make up.
Yeah, Rob, it's a decent time, but in this game, decent won't get you to the podium. They'll need to dig deeper and find some extra pace.
Impressive display by Megasaurus 55 has completed their outlap. Disappointing performance from Mr. Bang in this qualifying session. Currently in 12th position, they'll need to dig deep and find some extra speed to climb up the leaderboard and secure a better starting position for the race. It's an impressive showing by Richard Rossier, currently in 9th. They've showcased their talent, but will they be able to find those crucial extra tenths of a second to climb higher? It's about time Richard Rossier considered a different approach. With a 1:35.852, they're stuck in 9th. Maybe a change in brake bias could give them more control in those hard braking zones.
That's a solid point, Rob. Better braking control means they can brake later and harder, making up precious time in the corners.
A disappointing performance from Mr. Bang so far in this qualifying session. Finding themselves in 12th position is certainly not what they were aiming for. However, they have the talent and experience to bounce back and salvage a better result. Richard Rossier has secured a respectable 9th in the qualifying session. Can they capitalize on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance?
You're spot on, Rob. Richard Rosier's current position of 9th is a testament to their skills and determination. Now, they face the challenge of maintaining their position against hungry rivals.
It hasn't been. Mr. Bang's last lap at 1:38.030 has them languishing in 12th. Time slipping away, and they need to find some magic on the track.
Absolutely, Rob. It's crunch time, and they've got to push that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup Euro beyond its limits if they want to claw back into the top 5.
Looks like Mr. Bang needs to put the pedal to the metal. That last lap times landed them in 12th. Not where they'd want to be, especially with the session ticking away.
True, Rob. It's all about incremental gains. Every tenth of a second counts, and they've got to squeeze every bit of performance out of that Renault 5 Turbo Europa Cup Euro.
There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Dijon-Prenois 1979, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is a dream come true for Rob Keane. And in the second position, it's none other than Nathan Vexler. Chris Ilduke is holding down the fort in third place. In fourth place, we have maybe today Satan. As the green flag drops, keep an eye on Eddie G starting in 5th position. As the engines roar to life, Sunoiler prepares to take off from the 6th position on the starting grid.
They've got the heart of a lion, and they won't back down from a challenge.
On the 7th grid slot we have Lars.
But don't count them out yet. They've got the skills to pay the bills.
Scott Cutchell has qualified 8th. Our 9th place starter, Richard Rosier, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track.
Richard Rosier will have wanted a better start than 9th.
In the middle of the pack, we have Megasaurus 55 starting from the 10th position on the grid. Colin Burton may have a bit of work to do starting from 11th on the grid. Mr. Bang may not be starting from pole, but they're still in with a shot.
But they're going to have to be aggressive if they want to make up ground on the leaders.
Simon Barnes will need to be on top of their game, starting from 13th on the grid.
Simon Barnes will be hoping for some good points today.
Starting from 14th on the grid is a tough ask for Puppy Dog from Hell, but they're up for the challenge.
Where can Puppy Dog from Hell finish today?
D-Max is placed in 15th.
The American driver has got something to prove.
The flag drops and the race is underway. Drivers now face the challenge of avoiding first lap calamities.
The first lap can be chaotic, and avoiding any major incidents is key. Drivers need to be alert and ready to react to any sudden changes on the track.
The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage?
A good old-fashioned southern standoff, that's what Keen's doing. Holding their ground, and sometimes that's the best strategy in the early laps.
Well, ain't that a slice of vanilla? Chris Duke's sitting pretty right where they started, comfy as a koala in a eucalyptus tree. Bloody ripper of a start for Megasaurus 55. Makes you wonder what the others were doing. Taking a smoko. Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit. Scott Cutchell's on fire. What did they slip into their engine? A can of Foster's.
Well, whatever it is, they're surely making a statement. But the road's long, and they better keep their wits about them. I'm sure they're grinning from ear to ear, but they'll need to stay focused, as there's still a long way to go. Rob.
If consistency was an art, Megasaurus 55 would be Picasso today. Just churning out those laps, one after the other.
And that's what separates the pros from the rookies. Megasaurus 55 knows when to push and when to play it safe. It's a dance, and they've got the rhythm.
Richard Rossier seems to be putting the pressure on Lars. Things are heating up as Megasaurus 55 closes in on Chris Duke. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
With Megasaurus 55 on the hunt, Chris Duke better not blink. Every split second counts in this tango.
The adrenaline is pumping as Eddie G gets within striking distance of Megasaurus 55 in their race for 5th. This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory? It's a steady race for Chris Duke so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result.
Breaking update. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. With every twist and turn, Richard Rossier is shadowing Lars, waiting to pounce like a lion on the hunt.
The mental game is just as important here. Richard Rossier must keep their cool while putting pressure on Lars.
It's a close race between Scott Cutchell and Chris Duke in 3rd. Some stop the press. Just like my hope in finding the one, Chris Duke's direction seems a bit lost right now.
Dang, Chris Duke went off like my sense of self-worth after my high school reunion. And just as hard to recover.
Every move counts now as Richard Rossier works to reel in Lars and overtake for P6. Hold on to your hats, folks. Puppy Dog from Hell is right on the heels of Mr. Bang, and we're in for a wild ride.
Honestly, Rob, with this chase, I'm half expecting to see some...
Stop the press. Well, Ed Eags decided to give the local wildlife a closer look. I hope the drop bears didn't get to them.
Hot diggity. If Eddie G had a banjo, they'd be strumming a sad tune right about now.
You Americans have your drive-thrus. Here, Sunoiler's trying to make this a drive past on Simon Barnes.
Well, let's see if they can supersize that pass, or if they'll just get a side of disappointment.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. Blimey, Megasaurus 55's shifted gears and the results are clear. Cruising up to third just like that. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. And we're back, where the drivers are showing us some incredible skills.
Indeed, Rob, it's always exciting to see these skilled machines on the tracks. I mean, drivers. I always get them confused.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. Puppy Dog from Hell is hold that thought, hold the phone, blimey. Puppy Dog from Hell must have spotted a pub off the track. That's the only reason any self-respecting Aussie would swerve that way. If I had $1 for every time Eddie G closed a gap like this, I'd have enough for a pint at the local. Get ready, maybe today Satan, the thunder from down under is coming. Fantastic move from Eddie G, who has just gained a position. No room for error here. Chris Ilduke is breathing down the neck of maybe today Satan, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. With a move that's swift, I'd say Chris Ilduke's running on high octane, and maybe a bit of Aussie spirit.
That kind of move? That's what happens when you mix horsepower with a dash of southern charm.
You know, mate, I was chatting with some of the pit crew earlier, and they were debating on which tyre compound to use. Hard as deciding between a meat pie and a sausage roll.
Well, back in my indie days, the choice was as clear as sweet tea or lemonade. But I reckon, here, with these changing conditions, it's more of a gamble.
Remember when Scott Cutchell was on the pace? Neither do I kinda like my recollection of last Friday night.
Yeehaw, it's like Scott Cutchell took a detour through the drive-thru. With a gap that big, I hope they ordered extra determination with a side of grit.
Hang on to your cork hats, mates, we're about to see more jousting than a footy final between Scott Cutchell and Megasaurus 55.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
They're giving it everything they've got. It's a battle of nerves as they push the limits of adhesion, going wheel to wheel in a thrilling display of racing crowds. Chris Ilduke's lagging like a laid-back Sunday arvo, and Sunoiler's kicked into gear like it's Monday morning rush hour.
As we say down south, Sunoiler's making hay while the sun shines and Chris Ilduke's barn's looking a bit empty. Yes, they've got to dig deep and find some extra speed if they—
Wait, Mr. Bang's off the track. Reminds me of my first car, a real lemon. Drove straight but only in reverse.
Feels like Mr. Bang's car turned into a stubborn mule for a second there at Dijon-Prenois 1979.
You reckon Simon Barnes has got a shot, mate?
I'd say it's like trying to throw a football into a moving pickup truck from 50 yards.
Hold that thought, hold the phone. By the looks of it, Rob always keen reckoned Dijon-Prenois 1979 had a hidden shortcut. Too bad there isn't one. By the looks of it, Simon Barnes in 12th is keen to throw another shrimp on the barbie and crank up the heat on Puppy Dog from Hell. Hold on to your stubbies.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Simon Barnes close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
As the laps wind down, the hunt intensifies. Richard Rossier is lurking, ready to unleash an overtaking masterclass on Lars.
This is where every inch counts. Richard Rossier is pushing hard to close the gap on Lars. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Richard Rossi is falling behind Lars at a rate of knots. They're going to need some serious pedal power to close that gap. If racing were a dance, Scott Cutshall would be trying to lead, but Megasaurus 55 just keeps cutting in. The dance floor is heating up. Hold on to your hats. Richard Rossia is gunning for Lars. Reckon we might see some cheeky moves on the next bend? Whoa, Richard Rossia took that corner like my Uncle Baz after a six-pack, all over the shop.
Well, butter my biscuit. Richard Rosier took a trip to the weeds. Must have thought they were at a barn dance the way they spun around.
Hold on to your stubbies. Simon Barnes is closing in on Puppy Dog from Hell like a bachelor at the end of a bucks night. Hope Puppy Dog from Hell either brought some lube or protection.
The tension between Simon Barnes and Puppy Dog from Hell is palpable as they battle for P11. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake can cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Tell ya what, Richard Rossi is defending harder than a roo with the last Tim Tam. Mr. Bang's gonna have to pull something special out of the bag.
Mr. Bang is certainly pushing all they can, but the gap might just be too much. Unless Richard Rosier makes a mistake, it looks like they'll hold on to 8th.
Ladies and gents, we've pulled that fort. Hold the phone. Looks like Colin Burton tried the ol' dingo stole my race line trick. A tad too clever by half. This is a thrilling battle as Puppy Dog from Hell edges closer to Simon Barnes in their fight for P11. Puppy Dog from Hell's on the back foot here, struggling to keep up with Simon Barnes like a dingo after a roadrunner. It's like watching a cheetah chase its prey. Scott Cutshall's got Megasaurus 55 in their crosshairs.
Each roar of the engine, each squeal of the tire is a chapter in this epic duel. Who'll pen the perfect ending?
Puppy Dog from Hell wants to get into Simon Barnes' slipstream.
They need to keep it on the black stuff. You don't get points for driving over weeds, not in this game.
These engines aren't just humming for fun. They're thirstier than an Aussie after a game of cricket in the sun.
Cricket? That's like baseball with longer games, right? Anyway, these engines do have a roar that could rival any muscle car back home.
There's a storm brewing, and it's got Puppy Dog from Hell's name on it. Simon Barnes, batten down the hatches, it's coming for you.
Y'all ever been to a Carolina hoedown? 'Cause Puppy Dog from Hell's dancing with that car, looking to waltz right past Simon Barnes.
Puppy Dog from Hell is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Simon Barnes at the moment. The battle for 3 is heating up as Scott Cutshall tries to catch Megasaurus 55 in P3. It seems like Scott Cutshall is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. Things are going according to plan for Eddie G, who is currently 6th.
Oh, spot on. With the way Eddie G controls that 6th, you'd think they've got the track's blueprints.
Tough break for Eddie G, who has just lost a position. Who needs speed dating when you've got Rob always keen chasing down Nart and Vexler this eagerly? Move over Tinder, this is how you swipe right at 100 miles per hour. This is what it's all about, folks. Maybe today Satan is in hot pursuit of Colin Burton, who's just trying to stay ahead. Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for maybe today Satan, lagging behind Colin Burton and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. What do you think, Hal? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Rob. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Oh, this is getting intense. Rob Always Keen is just a few car lengths behind Nart and Vexler.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds. Who will come out on top?
Good news for Keen, the gap to Nart and Vexler has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds. And Rob has just won the place from Nart and Vexler.
You see, it's moments like these that separate the champs from the chumps. And Rob's looking every bit the champ today.
You can feel the rumble from here. Nart and Vexler's in the thick of it, and they're not letting go. It's a battle of wills, and only the strongest will come out on top.
Yeah, it's like the final lap of the Daytona 500. Pedal to the metal, eyes on the prize, and no room for error. This is what racing's all about.
It's not going to plan for Nart and Vexler. They are still behind Rob Keen and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. As a former racing driver, Hal, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Rob. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
Mr. Bang is placed 8th at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of Chris Ilduke, who is 1.6 seconds behind. Impressive driving from Mr. Bang, who has managed to extend their lead over Chris Ilduke. They are walking away at this point. Does Chris Ilduke have anything in reserve?
You ain't whistling Dixie, Rob. Mr. Bang's putting on a show that's sure to keep the crowd on the edge of their seats.
You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely. It's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers, who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
Blimey, Richard Rossier is farther back than my hairline. But you know what they say about Aussies? Never say die. Unless it's a spider. Then just run. It's game on now. Richard Rossier has closed the gap to Chris Ilduke. It's now down to 0.9 seconds.
That's a great effort from Richard Rossier. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
Well, Richard Rossier, if you're looking for a way past, you'll need a please and thank you and a slab of beer for Chris Ilduke. It's happy hour, and they're not giving an inch.
I tell you what, Chris Ilduke is putting on a clinic out there. Protecting that spot like it's the last piece of Mama's fried chicken.
Oh no, Hal, look at this. Richard Rossier is closing in on Chris Ilduke. The gap is now just 0.4 seconds.
Richard Rossier is hot on Chris Ilduke's trail like a Carolina Reaper. This is shaping up to be a nail-biter, folks.
Seems like D-Max is getting in range of Colin Burton.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble in the boundary of disaster.
Oh, the pressure is on for D-Max. Trapped between 0.1 seconds away and Colin Burton just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds, they must defend their position while seeking an opportunity to advance.
You're absolutely right, Rob. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind act as a measuring stick for DMAX's performance. They'll have to keep a close eye on those gaps to stay in control of their race.
The chase music's playing in Richard Rossier's head as they reel in Chris Ilduke, moment by nail-biting moment.
In the theater of
Hold up a mo, maybe Megasaurus 55's got a drop bear in the cockpit, cause that move was bonkers. Things are heating up as Richard Rossier tries to close the gap to Chris Ilduke. Wow, Rob is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race. And it's a checkered flag for Rob Keane, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today. Impressive second place finish for Nathan Vexler. Colin Burton brings home 14th. What a race from Lars, showing their skill and determination for a great third place finish.
fantastic result.
Followed by Scott Cutchell and D-Max in 4th and 15th. Megasaurus 55 in 5th. Sixth is Sunweller. Coming in 7th we have Eddie G. With Mr. Bang in 8th. Chris Ilduke and Richard Rossier claim 9th and 10th. Simon Barnes end in 11th. Maybe today Satan take 12th. Finishing 13th is Puppy Dog from Hell. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Dijon-Prenois 1979, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Richard Rossier will be feeling confident starting from pole position.
But they will have to keep their foot on the gas in order to stay there.
The race is on, and tensions are high as drivers navigate the first lap. One wrong move could lead to a collision in these tight quarters.
This is where the real action begins. The drivers will be jostling for position and trying to gain any advantage they can.
Absolutely. It's a crucial part of the race, and the drivers will need to be on top of it to make it through here unscathed.
The first sector is always a bit of a nail-biter. With so many cars bunched together, one small mistake can be disastrous.
They'll need to keep their wits about it and stay focused if they want to come out of this section unscathed. Richard Rossier has nailed the start, gaining places early on. They should be pleased with that. This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it.
It all comes down to this run, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can. Now it comes down to Nathan Vexel to bring it home.
The tension is palpable here. No one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
Like gladiators they enter Rom, but instead of lions and swords our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
The intensity is off the charts as Lars hounds Megasaurus 55, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. Buckle up, Rob Keane is all over Mr. Bang like a cheap suit. Are we about to see some wheel-to-wheel action?
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Rob is taking that advice to heart today.
Looks like Colin Burton is chasing Sunoiler harder than a croc chasing a tourist who's lost their thongs. It's a bit of a long shot, but we all remember that one time at the pub, right? Gee whiz, Scott Cutchell is breathing down Lars's neck. Wouldn't want to be in Lars's rearview mirror right now. It's getting crowded. It's an intense battle for position as Rob Always Keen tries to outmaneuver Scott Cutchell. This is edge of your seat racing.
It's going to be a close one. Rob will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
There's not much to report on from Rob at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps.
Exactly, it's like playing chess at 200 miles per hour. Rob is thinking several moves ahead, and it might just pay off.
Whoa there, Eddie G is sticking to D-Max like glue. You reckon DMAX is feeling the pressure? Cause I sure would.
Rob, last time I saw Eddie G this riled up, there were sparks flying off the track. Get ready for a showdown.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Megasaurus 55 is right behind Richard Rossier, keeping the pressure on for first place.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect, but let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
Nathan Vexler has the pedal to the metal chasing Scott Cutshall.
If you're in
Incident alert. Oh mate, DMAX is impersonating a lost tourist. Did someone forget to tell them it's a race, not a bushwalk?
Lord have mercy. DMAX must have seen a ghost or thought they spotted Bigfoot. That was one wild turn.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. It's not looking good for Keen. They are still behind Lars and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. Oh, this is getting intense. Megasaurus 55 is just behind Richard Rossier. We got a close battle as Keen closes in on Lars.
These two are putting on a masterclass in precision driving. Every turn, every acceleration, calculated to perfection.
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
Megasaurus 55 is following Richard Rossier so closely, they could start charging them rent for occupying the same space on the track.
The gap between Simon Barnes and Puppy Dog from Hell is razor thin as they vie for 13th in this nail-biting contest. Hold that thought, hold the phone. Well, if it isn't Keen, the wild wallaby of the track, hopping right off the tarmac. Nathan Vexler could be looking for a way up the inside of Scott Cutshall. The action is non-stop as maybe today Satan shadows Mr. Bang through every twist and turn, determined to claim fifth.
This battle between maybe today Satan and Mr. Bang is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Chris Ilduke is breathing down the neck of Puppy Dog from Hell, not giving him any room to relax. Alright, lads and ladies, it's crunch time. Maybe today Satan is sniffing around Mr. Bang like a dog with a bone. And it looks like they might just take a bite out of fifth.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Maybe today Satan must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
Ripper of a lap from maybe today Satan. They're off like a bride's nightie. Oh dear, Lars has had an incident.
Racing at Dijon-Prenois 1979's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Today, Lars got the lemon.
It's hotter out there than an Aussie summer day, mate. Reckon Mr. Bang can catch some shade behind maybe today Satan? F.
Shade? Here, we call that drafting. Let's see if they can stay cool and make a move. If not, there's always the AC in the pit.
Mr. Bang doesn't pick up the pace, Hal, they'll be as relevant as an ashtray on a motorbike. Hey, Hal, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Rob, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
Rob wants to close that gap with Mr. Bang. Well, oh no, what's this? Blimey. Colin Burton veered off the track like I veer away from commitment. Maybe they'll come back, unlike my ex.
Whoa Nelly, looks like Colin Burton's been watching too much NASCAR, trying to drift on an F1 circuit.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Nathan Vexler is closing in on Scott Cutshall. Great effort from Nart and Vexler. Their last lap was the best we have seen from them.
I haven't seen speeds like that since I tried to outrun my mama after breaking her favorite vase. Go on, Nathan Vexler.
This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars. And the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
Haha, that's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level.
It's like they're training for the Olympics. And like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Well, Mr. Bang's spinning like my life in 2020. Someone get him a map? Or a therapist?
Yeehaw, Mr. Bang decided to do a little off-roading. Wrong event, partner.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. Nathan Vexler is proper nipping at Scott Cutchell's heels. Are they thinking of making a lunge? Only time will tell.
That's right, Rob. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats, waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
You beauty. Nathan Vexler's lap was hotter than a sunburned shrimp on the barbie.
Things are hotting up now, Rob, and it'll be interesting to see if they can improve further on that time.
There's no escape now. Sunoiler is breathing fire and has locked onto Edig's tail. Well, blow me down. Sunoiler's lap time just gave Eddie G a cheeky slap on the rear. Bet that left a mark. Blimey, Rob Keane's gunning it in 5th. Just a whisker behind Scott Cutchell. Hope he's got his budgie smugglers on, cause things are about to get wet and wild.
Rob's got that car dialed in tighter than my grandma's corset. If Scott Cutchell isn't careful, he's gonna get a taste of some good old American hustle.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Mr. Bang as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Hold your horses there. Races can flip like pancakes on a Sunday morning. Mr. Bang's just got to keep the fire burning and the rubber turning.
It's a game of inches now as Scott Cutchell tails Rob closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
The best laid plans of mice and men are hell, but it's certainly not going to plan for Scott Cutchell right now as they are struggling to keep up with Keane. You know, Nathan Vexler reminds me of my dating life. Starts with promise, ends up tailing behind everyone else.
Well, slap my grandma and call me Sally. Nathan Vexler's got more distance to cover than my cousin Cletus has teeth. But if anyone can bridge that gap, it's Nathan Vexler.
The gap between Nathan Vexler and Richard Rossier is fading faster than the last rays of the outback sun. Blimey, Rob's determination reminds me of a kangaroo in a hopping contest.
Well, over here in the States, it's more like a squirrel chasing down its last nut before winter. Either way, it's entertaining to watch.
I don't think that's the fastest way around Dijon-Prenois 1979.
Dang. Puppy dog from hell decided to cut loose like it's spring break, 89. Wrong party, pal.
Alright, hold your horses. Keane is really putting the heat on Nathan Vexler. If I were Nathan Vexler, I'd be checking those mirrors non-stop.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Who will keep their cool under pressure? Rob Keane or Nathan Vexler? It's anyone's race.
I swear, Rob always Keane's on the prowl, making that leap to third look as easy as a Sunday Arvo barbecue. Lars is giving it their all as they chase down Mr. Bang in P9.
Did we just witness a gambit?
It seems Rob is recalibrating, now at 4th.
We've seen Keen in such situations before. A temporary descent, but always with an eye on the bigger picture.
During your racing career, Hal, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tires due to tire degradation?
It was a combination of factors, Rob. Monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tires.
The race is really heating up. Richard Rossier is hunting down Megasaurus 55 with everything they've got. Lars wants to find a way round Mr. Bang.
I might have said this before, but dog, bone, you know the rest.
A great pass for Lars as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Mr. Bang has lost ground. The engines roar, the tires squeal, and amidst all this chaos, Mr. Bang is making a statement in 10th.
Definitely, but they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Mr. Bang has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
It's a dynamic landscape out there. Mr. Bang's shift to 11th is testament to that. Hold that thought, hold the phone. Well, crikey. Simon Barnes has taken a detour, just like I did when I tried to change my car's oil. Ended up with a flooded garage.
I swear, Simon Barnes is acting like they found Elvis off track. Spoiler. The king ain't there.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit. Keen is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can Rob Keen keep it together?
3 cars in perfect formation, creating a moving train on the circuit. They're using the slipstream to gain an advantage, but who will make the decisive move? Incident alert. Oh, Richard Rossier went off track. I know the feeling, just like my diet every weekend. Phew, talk about foreplay. Keen and Megasaurus 55 are really teasing us here. I haven't seen this much anticipation since my first date. Keen's been working the tyre temps, and it's paying off. Grip's better than a kangaroo on a trampoline. Watch out, Megasaurus 55. Good on ya, Eddie G. Not letting Richard Rossier get too comfy up front. Reckon he's planning a bit of a "good day mate" on the next corner?
I've seen Molasses move faster than this. Just kidding, but Eddie's surely making Richard Rossier feel the heat. It's a southern summer showdown out here.
Here's the thing about racing, sometimes it's not just about speed. It's about pressure, mind games, and this, right here, is a masterclass from Rob. Sticking so close to the leader, making him constantly aware of the imminent threat. Hold on a moment, looks like that's a mistake from Megasaurus 55. This could be costly. Hollywood couldn't script this better. Eddie's shadowing Richard Rossier, waiting for the slightest misstep. Stone the Crows. Eddie's pulled a sneaky, landing at 8th. Always a surprise with them.
Hold the horses. Looks like Eddie's decided to give the rest a fighting chance, slidden down a tad.
Oi, Chris Ilduke tried to pull a Steve Irwin and wrestle with the track limits. Track 1, Chris Ilduke 0. Oi, Richard Rossi is giving it a red-hot go in 6th. Just a few kangaroo hops behind Megasaurus 55. Might see a cheeky move soon.
This ain't a track, it's a coliseum, and the gladiators are putting on one hell of a show.
They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position, daring each other to brake later and go deeper into the corners. A tough moment for Lars, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 10th. Cricky, Richard Rossi is sticking to Megasaurus 55 like Vegemite on toast. This is more tense than a possum in headlights. Fair dinkum, Richard Rossi is finding those aerodynamic sweet spots. Could be adjusting that front wing angle to cut through the air like a hot knife through butter. This race has turned into a game of cat and mouse. Sunoiler is the predator, with Richard Rossi firmly in their sights. Oi, Sunoiler's hotter than a summer Barbie right now. Wonder if Richard Rossi is feeling a bit exposed?
Hold on to your hats, folks. Sunoiler is turning this race into a barn burner. Richard Rossier's gotta dig deep now.
Things are getting spicy as Richard Rossi is breathing down Megasaurus 55's neck. The gap? Mate, you couldn't slide a credit card between them. It's as if Eddie G is navigating the vast, cryptic verses of Banjo Patterson, aiming for a poetic conclusion but caught in the mesmerizing cadence. Hold that thought, hold the phone, crikey. Eddie G thought they were on a boomerang's flight path. Only problem, didn't come back. As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Sunoiler is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon?
They'll be the ones celebrating at the finish line.
Rob Always Keen is owning the tarmac, confidently owning the first spot. And there it is. Rob has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match. What a fantastic race from Nathan Vexler, who brings it home in second place.
Brilliant. Nathan Vexler showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Scott Cutshall. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th sees maybe today's Satan, Megasaurus 55, Richard Rossi, and Sunoiler. Simon Barnes in 14th. Eddie G brings home 8th. In 9th, it's D-Max. Taking 10th is Lars. Colin Burton claim 11th. With Chris Ilduke in 12th. 13th is Mr. Bang.